welcome to episode 6 of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Now, as many of you will probably know, I'm a big fan of the independent sector. What do I mean by the independent sector? Well, essentially you have distilleries that bottle their own product. You also have companies that also buy casks and bottle under their own label. There are a number of these companies around, such as Signatory and A.D Rattray, Douglas Lang, etc, etc. And the thing that I like about the independent sector is many of them will offer single cask bottlings, which are exactly what they sound. They are the whisky that has been aged in one single cask. So depending upon the age, you can get anywhere between 150 to sort of 300-400 bottles. So each time you're getting one of these whiskies, you're getting something quite unique. Now, this leads me in obviously to today's tasting, where I'll be tasting 3 of the latest releases by A.D Rattray, a company that we've been working with for quite a number of years now. And the thing with the independent bottlings is they do tend to be a little bit more expensive than your standard distillery bottlings. They're bottled at a higher ABV, more often than not at cask strength. And also, like I was saying, you have the exclusivity and the fact that it's just a single barrel. Now, a lot of these bottlings can be quite interesting purely from the cask that they're aged in. A number will obviously be aged in casks that are generally not often used by the distillery, or should we say not used in their pure form. Take for example Aberlour. Aberlour bottles 3 bottlings, the 10-year-old, the 16 and the Abunda. All to a certain extent use a proportion of sherry cask in their vatting. But bourbon oak Aberlour can be found in a number of the independent bottlings, and it gives you an interesting insight into the distillery that the distillery doesn't often have a tendency to show you. The other thing with independent bottlings is that they can be very, very hit and miss. Without sort of going into too much depth, I mean, if you've read my newsletters, you'll know some of the things that I've said about independent bottlings in the past. But by and large, they've bought the casks, they need to do something with them. It's quite an investment, and more often than not, some things that are bottled that probably shouldn't be bottled. On the flip side of the coin, they bottle some absolutely stunning things. But this is why I always insist upon, I get samples, I can taste them, I can judge the quality, and it's not necessarily if it's a good or a bad whiskey. It's often it can be, a good whiskey, but the price is just a little bit too expensive. So, each time I receive a set of samples, I always taste them and have no preconceptions and just see what we get. So, let's have a look at these ones. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, 3 bottlings here from the latest release from A.D Rattray. We have here a 1977 Glenlivet, which is about 34 years old, a 1976 Dufftown, and again a 1974 Bunnahabhain. As you see, all aged in bourbon casks, all at cask strength, and obviously we'll look at them individually and see how they go. Incidentally, this is how I get them. Nice little dinky bottles which they send me, and this is pretty much how I taste them. Sit down, notebook, and we get on with it. So without further much ado, should we start then? Okay, so we'll start with the Glenlivet. This is a single cask bottling, like I said, cask 13174, bottled at 48.2%. So it's reduced quite nicely in alcohol over the years. So let's see what it smells like. Well, first off, you get that lovely aged aroma. Old oak, slightly herbally, bit of barley, quite sweet barley, some herbal honey. There's a bit of crispness to it, you know, from as you'd expect from a Speyside whisky. But it's that lovely aged oak aroma that really is quite inviting. That's a lovely mature bourbon cask. Very, very nice. Okay, on to the palate. So let's see what this one tastes like, shall we? Again, some really, really lovely oak. Moist, succulent honey. A little bit of spice. But it's the oak, obviously being sort of like quite mature, comes through with some lovely old vanillins. Slightly oily. Obviously the alcohol is biting along with the wood right at the very finish. As you know, with extended aging in casks, you often do tend to get a little bit of tannin right at the very end. And but it's got some lovely honey. It's really quite well balanced, and definitely worth it. Okay, let's move on to the second whisky that I've got in front of me. It's Bunnahabhain, distilled in 1974, 37 years old, 43%, and if you want to know the cask number, it's 5673. So let's have a look and see what this is like. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is so tropically. Kiwi, banana, a bit of green gage possibly. A very smidge of coastal. Obviously I think again, the oak has obviously been quite dominant here. Again, bourbon oak, but it just has that lovely sawdusty, old, mature character. Oh, but that's just such a beautiful fragrance nose. I mean, Bunnahabhain, look, take note. Look, will you just stop mucking about with all the bloody sherry casks and just age it in pure bourbon? When it is this good, you really don't need to swamp it with sherry. Okay, rant over. Back to the whisky. That is just beautiful. I mean, right. Okay, let's see if it tastes as good as it smells. And I'm pretty certain it is going to, shall we say. Juicy. Oh, lovely tropical fruit. Lovely bit of peppery spice. So mellow. It's just glides. This is gorgeous. Again, yes, the oak is bittering out a little bit at the end, but it gives a little bit of cocoa. But oh, the spices are gorgeous. They're just so soft and crumbly. That is just stunning. I mean, you know, no other word for it, has to be said. And finally, my old nemesis, Dufftown. The kind way of saying what the character of Dufftown is that it is a bit industrial. It's rough, it's ready, it's never a whisky I've been a great fan of, it has to be said. But, you know, I have tasted some, shall we say, interesting bottlings of Dufftown. One or two that, you know, have been quite pleasant. So, you know, I'm always hopeful that when one tastes a Dufftown, it you know, proves me wrong, shall we say. So let's stick our nose in and see if it does indeed. well, it's very un-Dufftown, shall we say. Not a great deal of industrial, spirity, nasty, hard, raw, you know, etc., etc. But actually some lovely fruit, which is not something you mention very often when you talk about Dufftown. It's got some lovely mature honey, a little bit of sawdust, a little bit of sort of crumbly spice. There's even a sort of, even, dare I say it, some elegance to this nose. In fact, there's quite a bit of elegance. Come on, I'll be fair now. You know, I mean, yeah, okay, it's got a slight hardness to it, which kind of you would expect, but as far as Dufftown's go, I mean, this is just really good. You know, I mean, unbelievably good. Yeah. Okay then. So, shall we see what this tastes like then? Okay, it's still Dufftown. It's still got a bit of an edginess, but some lovely spice. Some very dusty oak. A little bit of perfumed, almost sort of old Mar, as which is often the sort of the character of Dufftown. That sort of, well, slightly Mar kind of character. What do I mean by Mar? If you've never tasted Mar, it has a sort of violety, slightly Turkish delight, like decaying rose petals kind of character, and you know you get very clean sort of Turkish delighty sort of character right the way through to this sort of, you know, really dirty, decomposing, you know, rose petal kind of character. But it's got some pleasant some Mari notes, a little bit of barley, so, you know, I think sort of this is possibly the most surprising bottling of all three of them. And again, I mean, I say I'd certainly buy this. And indeed, they're available now to purchase via our website. So have a look. Right, okay, summing up. So, what have I got to say? Three really good bottlings. I mean, these are not the only good bottlings that A.D Rattray have produced, or A.D Rattray as I should call them. And a really interesting insight. I mean, you know, they all have their own unique character. I mean, the Bunnahabhain, I mean, you know, just blow me away. I mean, that is just absolutely stunningly good. I mean, you know, if you love Bunnahabhain, if you love your coastally mature Islers, then buy this. This is just stunning. Glenlivet, I mean, you know, you can't go wrong with old Glenlivet. Well, you can go wrong with old Glenlivet occasionally, but, you know, that is a superb bottling. You know, no two ways about that. And Dufftown, well, got to be surprised at the moment. You know, like I said to you, you know, Dufftown is one of those mercurial malts that is often worse than this. So, you know, three excellent bottlings. So have a look at our website, www.gauntleys.com. Have a look at my WordPress blog for all the other tasting notes from these various distilleries and, you know, A.D Rattray bottlings over the years. So so all that's left now to say, well, I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you next time. Good night. Is my head in shot?
Oh yeah, and the flowers look lovely and everything. It all looks lovely.
It all looks lovely, huh? I'll use this bit as an outtake at the end then, shall I?
No, don't use me as much. Your eyes look awfully red, don't
Have a fun.
Your eyes look really red.
Well, I think I've just about got the colour balance right on this.
Well, don't keep going. Stop it for a minute while I'm doing
Well, no.
this.
Well, I don't want to just stop it because that means I have to fart back. Can you just not make so much bloody noise?
You can put that on the
Can you
shots.
turn the bloody kettle off as well? I mean, you know.
I need to the kettle off.
I've got a bloody cat as well. I don't have this problem when I'm doing the work, you know. Sorry?
Do you like cup of tea?
I'm drinking whiskey.
I don't get that out of shots. Didn't like some shots, is it?
No.
No, excuse me, I'm boiling it. I want it boiled. You can see all this on your, this and your tongue and everything. You want to see your face? Lovely little happy chap.
Well, I'd be even more happy when I can carry on with it.